What's the most fucked up thing you've overheard? Dollar store grandma. This family really went to shit while I was in prison. I'm a wedding videographer. At every wedding I work with a photographer. Sometimes I get along with them, sometimes not. Anyways, I'm working with this photo team at a wedding. We're doing family photos, which is the worst part of the day. It's just a long drawn-out 30 minutes of people not knowing where to stand, yelling for people who have walked away and were supposed to be in the next group photo, dealing with kids, etc. I overhear one of the photographers whisper to the other sometimes, when I'm having a rough time in family photos, I like to imagine everything everyone says came from behind a closed bedroom door, with a very strong implication of sexual intent. That was years ago, and to this day I can't help but think of it at every wedding. Hearing someone say something like, "Grandpa, get back over here, we're not done with you," in the middle is now the bane of my existence. 3 girls were at the next table at a restaurant and they were discussing a date one of them had recently. Apparently he was not tall enough for her. I remember hearing clearly amongst her complaining, "He was so short, he could wear my pussy for a hat." Maybe not that fucked up, but pretty hilarious. My favorite, a cell phone conversation overheard years ago. I was on a park bench when a guy on his phone walked by. "Yes, alright, I get it. I shit on the floor, you happy? But if she just picked it up when I told her to, we wouldn't be fighting now." What? When I was in middle school, a group of girls sat down near me and started talking a bit too loud. One of the girls said she was going to try and kill the baby with Red Bull and liquor. She was 13. A woman on the phone with her mother crying about how the man she was having an affair with was cheating on her. Is it weird that I've got a lump on my dick in the exact spot my dad has a lump on his dick? On the bus about 10 years ago. 2 girls in their mid to late 20s. Girl 1, "You're pregnant, who's the dad?" Girl 2, "It's Brad." Girl 1, "Your brother?" Girl 2, "He's only my half-brother, so it's fine." I think about this conversation more than I should. My dad and I were talking about work and my sister overheard him saying he needed to send out a crew to shoot some witnesses. We are land surveyors. A witness is a marker in the ground that serves as a reference to another point. Shoot in this case means to take a measurement on the corner with a GPS unit. But my little sister didn't know that lingo, and thought there were some secrets about the family business that she hadn't been privy to. Was walking past a hotel room door when a wife was screaming at her husband, "How about you don't have children that have sex with each other?" I was just like. Back when I was in college, I overheard girl talking on the phone and she said, "I don't know, I figured he could just go rape women when he got out of jail." Overheard a guy I work with, he's in his 40s. On a call to a woman who he had on loudspeaker, tell her that he would lie to his mother about what hours he was working so they could meet in a hotel while his mother watched his 2 kids who don't live with him. Then the woman tried asking him about his kids, to which he replied, "Don't talk to me about my kids, talk to me about things I like pussy money." Not the most fucked up, but last month there was a guy in the hallway of our school talking with his doctor on speaker. I could hear everything they talked about. He thinks he might have an STD and they talked about all of his symptoms and that his girlfriend told him she was a virgin, etc. Why the hell would you loudly talk about that stuff with speaker on in a public place? Heard a dude talking about killing both the child and parent on the phone. But since it's an area with a lot of IT companies, I'm sure it's something about killing the child process and parent process. I just don't understand how a colonoscopy can be a virtual appointment. Overheard in the cubicle next to me at work, crying face, crying face, crying face. Walking past a phone booth in the city, a 13-year-old boy says, "I don't fucking care. I'll keep cutting myself, and if you don't come pick me up right now, Mom, I'll try and kill myself again. And that cunt better not be at home when I get back." A few dudes at a bar restaurant sitting at the table behind me. They're having a few beers and laughing and talking about past sexual conquests. One of them launches into a story about how he was in an orgy, and how hot it was having so many bodies tangled together. Then he drops the bomb that his cousin, who was also a dude, was a part of it too, and the other dudes go quiet. One of them asks if he did anything with his cousin, and he denied it hesitantly, then slowly says something along the lines of, "Well, it was very dark, and all the bodies were slick with sweat, it didn't really matter who touched who or what went where." Judging by the silence from his friends, it very much did matter. He kept trying to justify it, saying how hot it was, but they all made excuses to leave within the next 20 minutes, and he was left alone, drinking at the table, staring at the wall and looking very much like he wished he hadn't told that story. It's not so fucked up, but I'll never forget it. I was walking towards the subway when I saw what looked like a homeless man in a wheelchair, who had no legs, just torso, going alongside a very tall man in a very nice suit, coming towards me. As I passed the two men, the one in the wheelchair said, "So the blind chick was grabbing my balls." That's all I heard from their conversation. I wish I didn't have anywhere to be, otherwise I would have followed them to hear the rest of this story. So the blind chick was grabbing my balls. I truly hope those words echo in my head when I am an old man, taking his final breaths on his deathbed. I overheard a guy in my school, whom I didn't know because he was 2 years younger than me, telling someone over the phone that he didn't want to live anymore. He was so tired of being lonely all the time and getting bullied day in, day out. His crying pierced my soul. I was really popular at that time, had a lot of friends, was always pulling pranks with them, knew the teachers pretty well. So one day, me and my best friend followed him to the bathroom. This sounds so weird, but we had been observing him and we knew he hid in the toilets during breaks, and we kind of started a conversation on how his shirt was really cool and that we were a fan of the same band as him. And then we invited him to sit with us, and we kept that up until we graduated, and to this day, we're still friends. I regularly checked up on him during the time I knew he was depressed, without ever telling him I had overheard him when he was on the phone. He's doing great now. He's in his second year of music academy. I don't know if we saved his life, but I sure bet we made it a little easier for him. And seriously, he's become one of my best friends. Such a sweet kid then, and still a great guy now. A girl in a bus was talking to her friends about a guy that murdered someone in a park we passed by. She then continued talking about wanting to murder someone herself to know how it feels, and wondered about wanting to murder people more often after the first one. Worst part was that she was chewing gum insanely loud while talking too. I was at work walking past some contractors sitting on a bench smoking. All I heard was one guy say to the other, "Well, she already took the best years of your life, why shouldn't she take half of everything you own?" He then started laughing uncontrollably. The whole time the other guy was sitting with his head in his hands, obviously upset.